Welcome to Clienting, the place to get information about legal marketing and client development in the digital age. Here are your hosts, Tsakalakis and Kelly Street.
Hey, Guy, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Kelly?
I am doing well. I am, as per usual, excited because we're doing clienting today. It's pretty great. I have a little case of the sniffles, so I'm hoping that doesn't come across too much in the show. And I know you have a little case of the sniffles too.
A little bit. Mine's clearing up, so just back to my typical nasally self.
That's good. That's good. Well, we are joined by someone today who is in a state where they often have a lot of rain, and I'm sure a lot of people there get the sniffles too. Lovely Seattle-based attorney, Shreya Ley of Ley Roots Law Firm. She is joining us from a boat.
I am.
This is a first for us.
It is a docked boat, so it's not moving, but it is a boat. And although many people around me have gotten the sniffles lately, I have so far, fingers crossed, avoided it. So I'm hoping that trend continues.
That's pretty great. It's probably because you're on the boat and you're away from all of the people who could be getting you sick.
I feel like that is at least half the people that marinas attract as far as liveaboards. Is like half the people are these kind of hermit types and shut-ins that just don't want to see other people, which is why they live on a boat. And then the other half are just like looking for an adventure.
Yes. And I think you fall into the latter, right?
I do. Although my partner in life and business has tendencies to where he could potentially slip into the former category, I believe.
So you keep him docked in order to get on land and see it.
I do.
All of the boat life jokes we could make.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Shreya. Well, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them what they should know about you?
Sure. So my name is Shreya Ley, like they said. I am an attorney with Ley Roots. We've had our law firm for 5 years now. And so, as I alluded to, my husband and I have the law firm together. We're partners in life and business. And although both of us have lived and traveled all over the world, and we met in New Orleans in law school, we ended up in Seattle. And so we love the outdoors. Part of what attracted us to Seattle were rock climbers and snowboarders. And our law firm focuses on, I should probably state that, estate planning and asset protection, basically working with families and helping them grow and protect themselves.
So looking at your bios, it looks like you and Colin kind of divide up sort of the responsibilities, the different aspects.
We do. That is a technique and a strategy we learned to keep marital harmony as well as business harmony. And so part of asset protection is also dealing with people's investments and family businesses. And so I handle the majority of the business side of our clients' portfolios or lives. And he handles more of the estate planning side. So wills, trusts, that sort of a thing. And in that way, sometimes our practices overlap, although sometimes people come to us for one or the other and don't need the other person. So we also have our own kind of practices and practice areas. And we do that on the business side of the law firm as well, whereas he's far more interested in dealing with the technology. And so he kind of has become the master of all things online for our law firm and making sure that is up to speed and running. Whereas I am more externally facing in actually building in real life relationships and our outer facing kind of spokesperson.
And I was so attracted to your website and seeing kind of the branding of Ley Roots and thinking, oh, this ties in so great with asset protection and estate planning. Just that I think the brand name is a really lovely way of thinking about those two aspects. So how did you guys decide to come up with that? What did that process look like?
Sure. So we came up with Ley Roots first, the name of the law firm. And the idea behind that was like one of those big oak trees in New Orleans and people laying roots and like the big tree growing. And that was sort of the imagery we wanted to evoke there. But then just by chance, we were going to a conference and we needed to make business cards for the conference. And it just seemed so unlike us and so stuffy to put partner, and kind of disingenuous in a way because there were really just the two of us, like managing partner of law firm Ley Roots. And it's like, we're not really managing anything yet. We've just started. So just on a whim, we put lawyer human, not thinking that anyone would even really read it. And when we got to the conference, people kept coming up to us and bringing others with them to say, hey, these are the people I told you about. They're the lawyer humans. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, it seems like people really like this and are resonating with it. So that's kind of where it came from. And we then ran with it because it does kind of encompass who we are in that we started the law firm in many ways because we didn't fit into the square peg or the stereotype of what a lawyer should be, or at least we didn't feel like we did. In that wearing like the gray suit and wanting the mahogany desk and the wall full of leather-bound books. And so we wanted to bring that more human aspect to the law. And we got some flack for it in the beginning, but I think now it's really kind of taken root, not to be too punny, and just really taken off, and people are really resonating with it. And we've built this brand around it in that we're human beings and we treat our clients like human beings, and more about that and about that personal relationship than it is about the legal documents or the number of billable hours or any of the other number of things that people generally associate with lawyers.
You guys actually got flack for calling yourself lawyer humans?
I did. I got hate mail, actually, from other attorneys. I don't think potential clients or people we were encountering cared enough to send us hate mail, because for them, they're like, oh, you guys are just not for us, you young whippersnappers, or, whatever it might be. But I was in a Northwest sidebar, which Northwest, it's part of our lawyer magazine. And they just did a little profile on me. And in the picture, I have my snowboard and then I talk about the lawyer human stuff. And we got hate mail as a result of that. Someone wrote to me to tell me how unprofessional we were and how we were a disgrace to the practice of law.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a proud moment.
Well, if you're not making somebody unhappy, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, we definitely understand that. We understand that we're not for everyone. And this attorney who is very upset at us is never going to be a client of ours, and that's okay. And so we're okay with not being the right choice or the right law firm for everyone. I always like to think about it like chocolate and vanilla ice cream, where there are the vanilla ice cream people and there are the chocolate ice cream people. And you're not going to convince a chocolate ice cream person to like vanilla ice cream. It's just not going to happen. So we're right being in one camp, not the other.
Sure. And a lot of that, is that because of just kind of who you are, in the message that you want to convey? You want to attract people that are similar to you in that kind of mindset? Or is that some kind of strategy to carve a place out in a marketplace of otherwise vanilla people or something?
I would say more the latter. It was thoughtful in a way, because anyone can find an attorney to draft up estate planning documents or their business planning documents. And the majority of those attorneys are going to be extremely capable and give good advice, but that doesn't create a long-lasting relationship. That doesn't necessarily create referrals to just be another one of those attorneys. So how do we differentiate ourselves in the market? And we've put a lot of thought actually into, we want people to work with us because they want to work with us, not just because they need an attorney, and any attorney will do. And that's what we think encourages people to keep coming back to an attorney whenever they need help or have a question, is that they like that person. also, for the majority of people, and us included, they make decisions emotionally and based on whether they know, like, and trust the person. And they're not going to know, like, and trust us solely just based on us listing our resume or talking about how many legal accomplishments we have. They're doing that because they somehow feel like they can connect with us or relate to us. So cultivating that and allowing people in to view that side of our lives, I think helps us skirt all of the weird bar rules around attorney advertising, because we don't need to necessarily talk about or give legal advice in order for people to know, like, and trust us. We can talk about our lives, how we operate our business, and give people insight into a lot of those things instead.
Right. No, it makes a lot of sense. And that's a theme that comes up a lot as we talk to lawyers. And I think that it's spot on in terms of the service aspect, the emotional aspect, because, a lot of lawyers too, even particularly in the estate planning world, is you're also competing with places like LegalZoom. Mm-hmm. And LegalZoom can't do that part. And so I think that's a really powerful, and I think it's an important thing, especially, really lawyers, if you're thinking in the future, right, you've got to be thinking, what is it that distinguishes you? And that service component, the know, like, and trust stuff, I think that's a really important aspect of that. And I think that one of the things I would encourage listeners to do to go check out both Lawyer Humans as well as layroots.com, because you can really see that come through in the way that you're communicating to your target audience as well.
Thank you. And yeah, I think that is important to bring up as well about the future and how technology is going to continue to make drafting the documents easier and easier as AI gets better, as natural language processing gets better. I don't think it's there yet, but I think that people are going to start to expect a lot of that to be done for them. And so if we're not bringing that to the table, then what are we bringing to our clients? What is the value we bring? And some firms may go in the opposite direction and say high volume, inexpensive services with a lawyer to look over it to make sure it's the right, fit for you. And we've kind of gone in the opposite direction in that we look at brands that we like to buy from and why do we choose to buy from them. And so we like Nordstrom or Patagonia. And why do we like that? It's because they're not just selling us a puffy jacket. We can get a puffy jacket for probably hundreds of dollars less from another brand. But we like them because they have their guarantee and because they have some sort of ethos that we identify with and the customer service that they provide to us when we go into the store. And so we wanted to see how can we bring some of those aspects into our own law firm, because if we like to buy from these people might want that from other aspects of their life too. Other people like them too. So
that's so great. I mean, I have the same perspective that I'm fairly mindful about the kinds of companies that I buy things from because I want to make sure that I identify, like you said, identify with their ethos and what their values are as a company as well. And I also love Nordstrom. And so that gets me thinking, like, what kinds of clients do you guys find that you're attracting based on that? Are they the kind of people that you want to attract based on the things that you guys are putting out there? And who are they generally?
Yeah, a lot of them are normal people. They're typically either they have some sort of a corporate day job. They don't have the time to try and figure out the legal stuff on their own. And they don't want to. They want a trusted advisor on their side and someone who can just handle it for them as opposed to them spending hours on something that they're not an expert at. They a lot of times also see themselves as not being in corporate America forever. And so they have a lot of outside investments or they're building some sort of side business. And they see that all of these components of their life as building towards like a certain future and that they're growing and they want help with on an ongoing basis, right? Like, so we're typically entering at the beginning of their journey of, hey, we got like a couple of investment properties and we have our day job, but we want to make sure it's all kind of protected and working together and we're doing everything quote unquote right.
So before we actually started kind of recording and getting into the episode, you mentioned that you are a big fan of Seth Godin.
I am.
Can you talk a little bit about him and what perspectives, because I know this is in line with just what you're talking about, kind of defining your clientele through your marketing efforts.
Yeah, and we do encounter, just because we're partners in life and business, a number of people who are also partners in life and business, because we talk about that a lot in our marketing, even if they are not partner, like they don't own a business together like my husband and I do. Maybe they have these like side investment projects or side projects that they're working on together. And so navigating that kind of relationship is also both funny and, we can relate. So it helps in that aspect. For Seth Godin, I just really love his perspective on a lot of things and enjoy his blog updates that I get every day. I think he has a lot of really great insight. And a big thing that he talks about is finding your tribe. So finding that niche market that, as I was saying earlier, kind of like the whole vanilla and chocolate thing is like, we need to find the other people who like chocolate ice cream, for instance. And all of us can talk about how much we love chocolate ice cream and how we're going to go try this new chocolate ice cream place. And, we can help them with their chocolate ice cream or, whatever it might be, like share recipes. And so, yeah, it's been really great in that aspect. We've been invited to like client weddings and dinner at their houses and all sorts of stuff, which is kind of awesome. And we can not only share with them legal advice and be in that aspect of their life, but also share about what adventures we're going on or different places to go hiking or be involved in supporting their businesses and help them grow that in that way. And so we take an active part in our clients' lives and want to help support them. And so if they need help want us to advertise the new bar they just bought, like we will do that, or we'll invite people there. And I guess things like that. And so we're still working in a lot of ways in defining who exactly is our tribe, but we're getting closer and closer, I think, every day. And it evolves slightly as we do as well.
Really great stuff. The other thing that makes me think of is, and some of the questions that had come to mind, do you tend to find that clients are coming to you or you're meeting clients through things that have nothing to do with asset protection and estate planning just because you share common interests? Are they coming to you because they have, or maybe they're coming to your website or maybe they just have questions? I'm really curious, especially with your niche, how people are connecting with a lawyer like you. The classic thing with estate planning is like there's so many people out there that don't even have a basic will in place. And so like there's this market that's just untapped. And so I'm very curious with your thoughts on, I guess, the untapped market in general. Has it been your experience that you're connecting with people like socially or in the common networking groups, or is it more people are coming to you and saying, hey, I need an estate plan, I was referred to you by so-and-so, or maybe it's a little of all of these things, but I'm just really curious. I think in this particular niche, it's an interesting one because the know, like, and trust seems to matter that much more for some reason.
Yeah, we've found clients from all sorts of different channels, I guess, but the majority, so we do get a lot from activities. So we volunteer with like the Mountaineers organization. And we go obviously to like the climbing gym or go on climbing trips. And so through that aspect, we have gotten clients and we've met people through that. It also helps build camaraderie amongst people to be able to have something else to also talk about and relate to. In our niche, so on the asset protection side, we get a lot of people who have thoroughly researched us online prior to making an appointment. And so they've listened to podcasts that we've done. They've listened to podcasts that we've guested on. They've read blog posts that we've put online. And so they have found us more through the online marketing channels. And they've already come in with some sort of idea of like, okay, I can trust this person. They know what they're talking about. And then it's just a matter of figuring out, is this the right path for them? And on the estate planning side, we actually do a lot of workshops. And so it's either a referral, such as somebody saying like, hey, I got my estate planning done. Now, sister, brother, friend, mom, dad, you guys need to get your estate planning done. Call these people. But the majority of folks come to us through these workshops we do that are very local. And so it's mostly, we do these workshops, they're guardian nomination workshops, or we were doing them more, we have kind of taken a break, where we help people with the aspect, specifically in the estate planning process, of naming guardians for their kids. So young parents, a lot of folks in the Seattle area are just moving here. So naming guardians for their kids. And so we do a whole workshop around that, and they walk away with these like guardianship documents. And so that is on the estate planning side, how the majority of folks come to us. Everyone else, though, it's really just that one-on-one referral. I'm a little bit weird in that I hate networking events, and I kind of have started refusing to go to them for the most part. And so I just don't feel like I'm building any sort of relationship with anyone when I go there. And so I have been really much more focusing on, like, if there's someone cool that I want to meet, I kind of just reach out to them. And I'm like, hey, do you want to grab a cup of coffee, or like go to lunch, or grab a beer, or whatever it might be, and go at it from that angle instead, because I'm more comfortable that way.
Not weird at all. In fact, I get the same way in a networking event situation. For some reason, I struggle with being able to introduce myself and get across what I do in a normal manner, even though I've read all of these things about this is how you do this. So
yeah.
I'm trying to put myself in folks that are listening to the show, and so they're going to have questions about, one of the things that always comes up is like, and kind of one of the themes of the show is how are clients hiring lawyers today. And I think one of the points that you made that I think is so important that lawyers tend to overlook, one of the common objections to the internet in general is like, oh, my clients don't hire lawyers on the internet like that. And they think in terms of direct response, where someone types in asset protection lawyer, they come to your website, they fill out a form or call you. And I think one of the messages that you articulated very well is that people, especially more sophisticated clients, are going to spend time researching you and getting a sense of who you are and what you're all about, and what working with you is going to be way before they ever reach out to you. And so to lawyers that are skeptical about the internet or social media and all this kind of jazz, I would say really think about that and listen to that message that so many of Shreya's clients are coming to their firm after they've read something that they've published online, listened to a podcast episode, really spent time getting to know them before they even reach out. And people aren't going to call and tell you, hey, I was thinking about hiring you, but you didn't have anything online, or what I read about you online I didn't like. That conversation never happens. And so, this is just an example of a lawyer who's doing it really well online in terms of communicating that marketing message, and is validating that her clients are coming to her having listened and read stuff that she's put on the internet.
Yeah. And also, even the referrals that we get, a lot of times, unless it's someone already in our network that we've, spoken to or that we've met in person, a lot of them will also look online or go look at several attorneys' websites prior to hiring us. And so I've definitely had people come in that, I'll be a part of an organization. They heard about me through this organization, some sort of referral, and then they'll come in and talk about things on our bios, or that, oh, I saw that you have this podcast, or I saw that this, even if they didn't spend time listening to a bunch of it or reading through a bunch of stuff, they just kind of checked us out to make sure we're legit.
Yes, absolutely. That actually was, Guy, thank you. What I was thinking of that I wanted to say earlier was that I'm so happy that you mentioned that people will go through multiple things that you're doing, and they'll really kind of check you out in multiple aspects, especially if they're thinking of hiring you for something, whether it's personal or for their business, their asset protection stuff, because this is an important relationship. They want to make sure that you can take care of them and are actually going to be able to cover all of their needs. And so that's why I really like kind of the different things that you have available for people on your website, on Lay Roots and on Lawyer Humans, and on your Instagram. And I love how you and Colin kind of split up the two different, he tends to use lawyer, this is maybe sounds like I'm a creepy researcher, but hey, we research for the podcast. But he kind of uses the lawyer humans handle and you use more lay roots and kind of split that up to be able to cover both of those things. It gives potential clients a full view of who you guys are with videos that you have on your website, the podcast that you guys are doing, and you can see your interactions. Your social media is a little bit more personal, although with you're intentionally doing personal on your website and on your business marketing as well. But it just really is kind of this full thing because you can come up on the first page of search results. You don't necessarily have to be number one in order to have people kind of research you because they might go to lawyer number one in search results website and say, oh, this guy does not seem like a good fit for me. But search result number 3 or 4 could be you guys and could be the right fit. So
yeah,
there's my diatribe.
I think it's really interesting too, is I think people get really confused by lawyer speak. Essentially, and the majority of law firm websites are full of lawyer speak. I think we're lucky that we're in like a little tribe of people that all are striving to be more client and customer driven and cut out the legalese. But I think what you're talking about is completely accurate, is that, someone might go to lawyer number one's website and just kind of be leave more confused because they don't fully understand what asset protection is or estate planning is. And that's all they're talking about is in those terms. And maybe they prefer, and some people might prefer that, right? Like we were talking about, there are different tribes. Some people might be like, oh, this is like a real lawyer because they're using all this legalese and legal speak, and this is who I want to hire. And they want the more traditional experience. And then someone else might be like, well, these people seem like I could actually talk to them about what's going on with me. And so hopefully we capture some of those folks.
Yeah. And I think, that's a good point that there are people who could want that more traditional lawyer experience. I shouldn't say that market is maybe shrinking because I think there are people of all ages who do want, some people want vanilla, some people want chocolate, some people want mint chocolate chip. There's, a flavor for everybody. But it's a good thing to remember that it's okay to be the kind of lawyer or kind of law firm you want to be. Just know what it is that you're going after. Know the kind of client that you are going after and embody that in who you are and who your firm is in all aspects, social media to every website and blog post.
Yeah. And, we listen to our customers or potential clients as well. When we first started out our law firm, we went a little too extreme, I think, on the lawyer human side, where especially on the human side of the lawyer human. And we got feedback from people that they did not, even though I'm wearing flannel right now, they did not want their attorney to be wearing flannel and just casually draped over a chair, talking to them. They still wanted pieces of that traditional law firm experience where they felt like they were dealing with a professional who could handle what was going on in their life competently. And so we scaled it back and so brought aspects and pieces of, the whole typical law firm experience in with us, in that we dress up for client meetings. We don't just wear our rock climbing clothes covered in chalk or something like that. We have pieces of that available for them, make sure that they know that we're going to keep their confidential information confidential and all of those things.
I think that's a good point too, that, another theme that comes across with a lot of lawyers is, listening to what your audience is telling you, right? So you've got feedback that, hey, even though we think that we like the same ice cream you like, to continue the metaphor, I don't know, whatever it is, that, hey, we get that, we hear that. And so we're going to adjust. And, that's really, I think, an important thing from a marketing perspective, is to always be listening and adjusting both your messaging, but also just your service, the way you deliver service to clients in a way that responds to the feedback they're giving you.
Yeah, agreed. And it's going to continue to change, I think, as technology evolves, how people like to be communicated with and how they want to receive documents or conduct meetings or do certain things. And so we're always looking at ways to adjust and refine. And so even though, we're talking about who our tribe is, who our audience is, all of these things, I think it's important to note that I don't feel like we necessarily have that down, and that we're going to continue to probably evolve that and change that and refine it through the years. And I don't know that that will necessarily ever stop for us.
So I want to talk about the podcast a little bit, kind of the podcast / sort of audio clips, kind of audio marketing. One of the things that you guys are doing that is different that I've seen, one of our clients does it and I've seen some other lawyers do it, is not like a just full half hour, 60-minute every week kind of a thing, but more smaller audio clips that are just 2 to 5 minutes explaining one quick little topic. Put a transcript up on the website and boom, there's your blog post and there's an audio clip / podcast if that's what people want.
Yes. So we did it that way for a number of reasons. One is that it takes a lot less preparation to do 5 to 10 minutes than it does to do 30 to 60 minutes of some focused topic. We didn't want to have to necessarily use an editor since it was kind of an experiment, and we wanted to just see if this medium is going to work for us. And we wanted a way to kind of refine our message as well and see what people resonated with. And so if we didn't necessarily have like a specific, we were just getting continuously stuck on, especially also with like blog posts and things, is like, what do we talk about? Like, how do we break up this huge topic that we might want to cover into a podcast or a series of podcasts and not have it be boring or all of these other things. And so we kind of went in the opposite direction and said, okay, let's just make it completely like about nothing, sort of like Seinfeld or something like that, right? Like it can be about whatever is going on in our head that day. We'll talk about it for 5 minutes. So we can't try like get in the weeds with all the, how the sausage is made, right? Like with, this is this weird legal thing that's going on. And we can just cover it. If people are interested, they can always interact with us and ask us more questions. And it just gives them a little taste of what's going on in our lives, but also what like different legal things that we can help them with. So that was sort of the idea behind it. We didn't expect anyone to really listen to our podcast. And so the first few episodes, we make reference a lot to our one listener, which is Colin's father. And he's been a very dedicated listener to our podcast.
So I should have done this research, but I just didn't even think about it until now because I found the podcast on your website. Do you also have them hosted on Apple Podcast or anywhere else?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're on iTunes and Stitcher. So we basically would record them. We didn't do any editing. Essentially, there are maybe like a handful of episodes where we edited a little thing out and uploaded it to SoundCloud. That's not exactly the most popular podcast platform, but that was the one that I found easiest to use. So just uploaded it to SoundCloud, which pushed it out to Stitcher and iTunes. So it's available on both of those. And then put the blog posts up, which pushed it out to social media.
Simple, easy.
It took a lot of time. And we've taken a long break on the podcast, and we're going to start them again probably near the end of the year. And then for that, I might end up just hiring someone to like help with that process.
Yeah, hiring someone at least for the editing and or the upload, it just is a really simple thing that gets that off of your plate. And then all you have to do is the talking. Yeah. And everything else gets taken care of.
Exactly.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, and hopefully I'm onto something here, otherwise we can just move right along, but you have this PREP trust kind of it's one of the things that a lot of lawyers are talking about is like kind of productizing their services. And it seems that maybe this is an attempt to do this. Talk to us a little bit about that. I think this is compelling and unique. You also have the ability to schedule for potential clients to come on and actually schedule a asset protection analysis, and there's automatic scheduling on the site. Talk to us a little bit how this came about and how it's worked thus far for you.
So we've had online scheduling on our site available from almost the very beginning. I will have to say that it it didn't really take off. People weren't really interested in using it. They wanted to still like call us to schedule up until like maybe a couple years ago. And so in general, I think people can schedule online for the majority of our appointments. However, with the Prep Trust, so yes, that is definitely a productized asset protection solution for people. A lot of our clients, like I was saying, they're closer to the beginning of their journey of building out their businesses and investments and things like that. So they're not ready. So we provide everything from like your more simple, like will trust to offshore LLCs and trusts. And they're not ready to go fully offshore, or they're not ready to fully give up ownership, right? They're younger. They still want potentially access to those funds or investments. They don't necessarily want it to go all completely offshore to where they don't need it anymore. And so this is a hybrid asset protection trust. So it's domestic until and unless certain conditions occur, and then it goes offshore. And we found that for people that meet certain criteria, we can provide this to them in a productized format. Their situation is going to be similar enough to each other that it doesn't necessarily take that much work to set up the documents for them. A lot of it is in the ongoing relationship and help making sure that they're maintaining it properly. And so we're really into the subscription models. And so this is a way to help people dip their toes into the asset protection realm. And then we can help provide them with guidance for years to come. So they sign up for the subscription, and we help make sure that new investments that come on, new businesses that they might start, also get incorporated into this asset protection plan that they've started. But we're thinking about ways in which we can build like subscription model type things into the majority of our services. And so, but like in a flat rate way. So we do everything pretty much flat rate because billable hours are annoying. They're annoying for the attorney and they're annoying for the client. So
right. No, and I think that's a really good point is that, of course, the annoying for the attorney part, the attorneys will appreciate that. But the productizing, subscription models, flat fee pricing, most of these things, I think reason that they've are starting to catch on more and more is because the clients are actually, they prefer them in many instances. And so back to the ice cream, for the potential clients who want that, they want the regularity, they want that long-term service, you're providing something to them that will really distinguish you and stand out in the marketplace from every other lawyer who said, I don't know how much this is going to cost, but I can tell you it's $300 an hour to start.
Yeah. And, so most of our services, we have like a menu of services that we provide to clients. And we're thinking about ways in which we can do it justice and put some of those menus online as well. But we haven't quite figured out what the best way to do that is, so people can know what they're getting into ahead of time, essentially. But we've created menus where people can see this is how much, drafting a contract would cost or filing your LLC. And then you can choose between one of 3 estate plans or asset protection plans. And we've been doing that. And now we're moving towards like the subscription model. Part of it for me is, to step on my soapbox for a second, is that when you file like an LLC for someone, that's really like, then you just send them off into the world with this like thing, and they have no idea what to do next. They don't know, how to protect themselves, what licenses to get, what they need to do at the end of the year. How does it change stuff for them? There are all sorts of ongoing questions that they have about their LLC. And I want to be able to help them with that so that they continue to get the protection they need from that business entity, right? And then they're also happy about that. And how do we make sure that they're getting what they need and that we're also compensated for it, or they understand that this is like, there's a scope to what we can provide them instead of just like this drafting thing. Like, because I think a lot of attorneys, they like people want to know how much they're going to be billed. And so, and then a lot of attorneys don't want to provide that ongoing help or just make it really difficult for people to ask for that ongoing help with the billable hour because people are like, oh, well, how much is it going to cost to ask this question? And I'd rather just include that in the scope. And some people might not want that much hands-on help, right? They're like, I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I just want the documents. I just want it filed. And that's fine. They can just go do it on their own or hire a LegalZoom or do whatever other thing it is. But some people also recognize that, hey, yeah, I will have a lot of questions because I've never done this before. I've never opened up a business before. And I want someone I can just like call.
Yeah, we had Kimberly Bennett on. We talked with her about subscription model service because that's what she does. And one thing I didn't ask her that just came up for me is, do you have that extra education component for your clients where you have to say, okay, here's how other lawyers do it, here's how we do this, and here's why?
Yeah, I have had to do that with a number of people who come to me for help. Like, okay, so for instance, I had someone ask me, like, can you send me a template agreement for X, Y, and Z? And I said, no. I cannot. I will charge you X amount of dollars to review whatever template agreement you find on the internet and fix it up for you instead. And they got mad about that. And they were like, why? And so I said, because I'm going to give you a template agreement and then you're not going to know how to use it. And then you're going to get mad at me when it fails because you didn't use it properly. And then I'm going to get in trouble for that. And you're going to be unhappy with me. And so I just don't do that. And they wrote me back and they were like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Actually, thank you. This is not the right solution for me. I'm going to go with, this other person who's going to give me a template agreement for $200. And I was like, all right, you do that.
Which is exactly why you have on your website reasons to hire you, or also maybe reasons to not hire Ley Roots, is you're more than a stack of documents.
Yes.
You provide more than that. It's perfect. I'm sad we are out of time.
That's all right. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Guy, did you have anything else to ask quickly?
No, just thanks again for spending time with us today. I think this was extremely valuable, and I just encourage folks, we'll put it in the show notes as well, but check out both the Ley Roots website as well as their blog. The marketing messaging on their site, it really does, I think it resonates with all the things that Shreya talked about today, but really good examples of giving people a sense of who you are as a firm and to attract the audience that you want to work with. And so thanks so much for your time and generosity and sharing all this great information with our listeners.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to do it.
Yes, joining us from a boat.
Yeah.
Our first and probably only guest on a boat. I love it.
I wanted to talk more about the boat myself, but since we're out of time, I'll have to be for the next visit.